Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to DSP versus the Internet, episode 32 for Sunday. I almost forgot the date. The 24th of September, 2023. So far, 2 hours down, one more to go. However, right around this time every week, I answer questions from super members of the channel. So for the two people who posted up, thank you. Let's see what they have to ask this week. Do you prefer chocolate or gummy candies? Definitely chocolate. I'm a chocoholic for life. I've grew up loving chocolate. I don't know, I have an affinity for it. Both dark and milk, love them both. White, nah. White's more of a confection, really sweet. I like things that have real cocoa in it, so I prefer the dark and the light chocolate. Boneless or bone in wings? Boneless, because honestly, bone-in chicken wings, to me, are not good. There's too much skin and not enough meat, and they're way too messy to eat. Although boneless wings are not wings, so they're just bites, right? So probably neither. When eating a burger and fries, what do you eat first, the burger or the fries? I will usually taste a few of the fries first before I go for the burger. NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys? Man, they both, back in the day, had really hit songs that were played all over the radio. However, I don't like pop music, so I didn't really like either of them. I knew their songs because they were played constantly everywhere. You know, Backstreet's Back and, NSYNC, Bye 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 and stuff like that. They were there all over the place. But remember Larger Than Life? Oh, you people, can't you see how your love is affecting that reality? Ah. All right, enough of that. I don't like them. And when eating cereal, do you put the cereal in first or the milk first? You always fill the bowl with cereal, then you add the milk. That's step 1 and 2. Step 3 is if you're still hungry, you add more cereal to the milk. Because the thing is, if you add the milk first, you don't know the appropriate amount of milk to add to not overflow the bowl. What if you put a ton of milk in, you go to put the cereal in, and now there's not enough room for the appropriate amount of cereal you want to eat in the bowl because you added too much milk. You must put the cereal first. If you do the milk first, you're doing it completely wrong, and you should be publicly shamed for it. All right. We have one final question here. You ready for this one? This one's quite of a longer one. You ready for this? Jason enters 6 races: biking, canoeing, horseback riding, ice skating, running, and swimming. He places between 1st and 5th in each. 2 places are consecutive, only if the place numbers are consecutive. Jason's places in canoeing and running are consecutive. His places in ice skating and swimming are consecutive. He places higher in biking than in horseback riding. He places higher in canoeing than in running. What are the possible placements for Jason in canoeing and running given these conditions? Well, I appreciate this very elaborate scenario that you have produced for us for today's DSP versus the Internet question. Allow me to answer your question with a question, all right? In what universe, in what timeline, in what dimension of this multifaceted multiverse that we call reality do you believe that Darkside Phil Burnell answers elaborate word problems on his live stream where he's supposed to be reacting to video clips? The answer is none. Therefore, thank you for your submission, and let's move on. All right, thank you so very much. Let's now get back to reacting to the videos, everybody. Very nice. Okay, so continuing on, these are the standard member submissions for the week. They're in random order, and let's continue. Ready? Here we go.
WWE throughout their history have been prone to controversy. Certain matches and segments have led to the company offending a portion of their fan base, and this in turn has resulted.
Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if we can watch this. Whenever there's wrestling stuff, seriously, whenever there's wrestling stuff, it gets claimed on YouTube. So I'm very, very nervous because this has WWE clips already, and I'm nervous that this is going to get blocked or claimed live. So what I'll do is I'll do little snippets. And by the way, it's 10 minutes long. We probably won't watch the whole thing anyway. Let's just watch little snippets. So let's start with this and see what happens.
Spoke for exclusive list. Number 10, Matt Striker's tasteless joke. On an episode of ECW TV in 2006, Matt Striker made a comment stating that the fans wouldn't catch him swimming with stingrays. This was controversial as Striker said this shortly after the passing of beloved figure Steve Irwin. Irvin was a hero to many who tragically died while swimming with stingrays. The backlash to Striker's comments was severe as Striker's comments received mainstream attention. WWE responded by issuing a statement and subsequently
We at WWE apologize for the remark alluding to the death of Steve Irwin, which he made on ECW Sci-Fi. The remark was in the least disrespectful of Mr. Irwin's fans and family. Huh. Okay. By the way, he got fired. Matt Striker got fired.
with WWE thinking. Number 9, WWE fire Paul Heyman again. Even though Paul Heyman's methods are questionable at times, there's no denying that Heyman is one of the most intelligent and gifted minds in pro wrestling history. A number of years ago, Heyman was having a run as head writer of Raw. The Raw product at this time was receiving great reviews as Heyman, despite being micromanaged by Vince McMahon, was managing to create a compelling product that appealed to everyone. Then, randomly out of the blue in 2020, Vince McMahon decided to fire Heyman. This decision naturally led to fans questioning why McMahon had yet again decided to let Heyman go, and fans weren't the only ones wondering this, as it was reported by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the USA Network, which was the home of Raw, were unhappy with the change. They mentioned, "I know USA Network was unhappy with the change, very unhappy by the way. I don't think..."
Yeah, this is kind of dry and boring, I'll be honest. What's next?
And then the pandemic came, and that's what really knocked it down the last 3 months. Number 8, the Lars Sullivan controversy. During Lars Sullivan's main roster run, past comments had surfaced in which Sullivan shared some rather sinister, racist and homophobic remarks. WWE were called upon the act, but they failed to do anything, and this led to WWE fans taking it upon themselves to email WWE sponsors to make them aware of Sullivan's comments. One fan would email the Mars Wrigley Confectionery Company, and the response highlighted how disgusted they were regarding the matter. We learned of Lars Sullivan's comments recently and share in your shock and disgust. As a values-based company, we find this behavior abhorrent and unacceptable. We have engaged the WWE to discuss the situation and seek to understand what actions they will take to swiftly address this matter. Number 7, the Abraham...
What the... Wait, what? How old is this? This is only 7 days ago. Because actually, I know the truth. Didn't he get fired for something else? I think Lars Sullivan eventually got fired for something else. So, why didn't this explain that? This is kind of bad. Alright, let's just skip it. Let's go to the next video.
Got funded $10 million by Evergreen Capital.
You said that might happen. Congratulations.
What?
Thanks.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Don't you owe me some money? I think somebody's calling me. I gotta go.
What the fuck is this?
Just hanging out, hanging out, hanging out.
The audio is not synced with the video. You noticed that, right? It's totally not synced at all. So, hanging out with my family, Birdemic? What does this mean?
Family, having ourselves a party. Just hanging out, hanging out, hanging out with my family, having ourselves a party. A cool summer breeze, making me feel at ease. The barbecue is roaring, and Uncle Phil is scoring. The big mama's in the kitchen, and everybody's wishing that she's fixing their favorite dish. And just hanging out, hanging out.
It's the same scene over and over. Did you notice that? It's literally the same scene. They keep replaying it. It's the same scene of those two dancing with the guy in the background. They've showed it like 3 times already. And then they just hit reverse. Did you see that? You can actually see where it froze and panned back in reverse. It's the same thing. Oh my god. Okay, this is stupid. Let's go to the next one.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Fast, sharp right. Fast, sharp right. Sharp right. Sharp right. Listen. Sammy, you have to listen to my call, Sammy. Please, I beg you. Fast, medium right.
Please, I beg you. Oh, guess what? It says copyright. Now, I don't know if it's this video or the one before. It might have been the one before. I can't tell. But sadly, I have to skip. That's funny because that was actually funny. Now we can't watch the rest of it because it could have been that one. I don't know. Yeah, I got stupid videos getting claimed. A bunch of bullshit. I hate this nonsense of fucking YouTube. God damn it. Well, what is this? The single most uncomfortable moment in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? This is Oprah. Okay, let's see what the hell this is.
Let me ask you this. Do you sometimes wish that April was a turtle?
Whoa, definitely.
Conceptually, that works for me.
You know, I've been trying
What did he just say? What did he just say on Oprah? Did he just say that? Dude, I don't that's got to be bullshit. Someone edited that in. No way that was real. They said that on Oprah? What the fuck? It gets better? No, I want to hear it again. I don't believe that. By the way, I think this is from the infamous Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles concert they were doing in New York City. And this is not from the movies or anything. This is from their concert series. This is how they were doing PR for it.
Guys, let me ask you this. Do you sometimes wish that April was a turtle?
Whoa, definitely.
Conceptually, that works for me.
You know, I've been trying
Where you going?
Oprah.
Man, I cracked myself up.
Oprah, I've been trying to talk her into an interspecies relationships for months now.
What the fuck? What? How is this? What? 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 This is what? This is how they advertised the show? This is a kids' concert, by the way. So these guys in these costumes would go up on stage and dance and sing Ninja Turtle songs. This is how they advertised the show to parents watching Oprah. Are you kidding me?
Chill, man.
And she won't do it,
She
huh?
can't hold her breath.
No, she can't do it.
The biggest problem is she can't hold her breath long enough, you know?
Well,
Are you kidding me? That's what I mean. Like, they probably invited kids. They probably say, hey, kids, watch this show. And then that's what they did. What the fuck, dude? And this is real. That's not edited. That's seriously real. That was on Oprah.
Turtles are going to perform their hit. Did you want to say something?
I just wanted to say that
10
the
seconds,
one
please.
thing, the one thing about the Turtles, being a reporter, it's hard for me not to analyze. And the good thing about these guys.
What did she say? They cut it off. Well, what did she say? Now I want to know what she said. What was the follow-up to that? Oh, my God. Well, we didn't get to see what the rest of it was. They cut it off. All right, what is a sandwich?
This is a sandwich. So is this. Here's another sandwich. All sandwiches have starch on top and bottom. It's the cube rule of food. If food only has starch on the bottom, that's toast. Obviously, this is toast, but so is this and this. Apple crisp? That's just toast with the jam side down. Let's review. This is toast and this is a sandwich. A hot dog's a sandwich, right? Wrong. It's a taco because it has starch on 3 sides. So this is a taco and that's a taco.
Okay.
4 sides of starch make food a sushi. Sushi. That's hard to say. And if there's starch on 5 sides, that's a quiche. Here's a quiche, there's a quiche, everywhere a quiche.
Oh.
Finally, we come to the calzone. Obviously, this is a calzone.
So is this true? This is actually the official terminology for the cuisine? I didn't even know that. That's very interesting.
So are these? Don't forget the sweet calzone, creamy calzone, carnival calzone, and the Colonel Sanders calzone. That's right. Fried chicken is a calzone. There are exceptions, like the salads. These are salads. And steak is a salad. Then there's the cakes. Lasagna's a beefcake. And so's this guy. Total beefcake. Visualize your sandwiches and anything else with Lucid Chart.
Okay, whatever the hell Lucid Chart is, but that was interesting. I didn't even know that about sandwiches. Okay.
There are some studies that suggest, for example, that being without a close friend, being lonely, is as bad for your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's quite hard to measure friendships. What's the quality of that friendship? What's the quantity? When people say they have a certain number of friends, what does that mean? Does it mean how many friends they have on
The
Facebook?
friendship recession.
It is difficult to get at this quantitatively, and also people, I think, are a bit reluctant to admit sometimes to not having friends. Loneliness is in some ways quite a stigmatized condition, and so actually getting people to admit to loneliness is something that social scientists really struggle with. I think a big question now is whether we're facing a friendship recession. That's a term that Daniel Cox, a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute, has used to describe this rise in the number of people who lack a certain number of close friends, who have few...
See, here's the thing. This is absolutely true. The world has become so much more about being online, having online interactions, and social media has that online interaction made up what a lot of people are considering is their real friendships. You know what I'm saying? You know, you have to wonder, because there's some people now, their entire life is just so busy that all they do is work and then they go online. That's their entire life. So if that's literally your entire life, then do they have close personal friends? Or is it just their interactions that they have online, the communities they hang out with online, right? You gotta wonder. I wouldn't be surprised if this really is a serious situation right now where many people on this planet don't really have real life friend groups. They just have people they interact with online all the time, right?
Fewer people to turn to in times of crisis. You need a shoulder to cry on, or at least someone to have a conversation with. That's less and less likely to be a friend now. And as society changes in all kinds of ways, technologically, economically, then I think it's important that we pay attention to what is very often an underappreciated human relationship, which is the friendship.
Explain it like I'm smart. It's a long video. I'm probably gonna watch the whole thing.
In all shapes and sizes, and are also formed in very different ways and in very different places. One way we form friends is just by being at the same school as somebody, by growing up in the same place. Another way is through the situations you find yourself in, through work. There are also friends that you form through activities that are chosen, so through a voluntary activity or a sport, athletics. The fourth is online friendships. Those are friendships that are formed through a screen or over the internet in one kind or another without necessarily ever physically meeting that person. Across human history, there's always been a tribal size, I think, to friendship groups, which is somewhere in the teens, say between 12 and 15, perhaps, is a reasonable number to think about. And then there are close friends. Some people, of course, have no close friends, but most people have at least a close friend. And most people would say that the ideal number of close friends to have is somewhere around the 3 or 4 number. Friendship was something that the ancient philosophers...
I don't really want to go into the history of friendship, but I want to know about... Let's see. Why are we losing friends? Okay, that's a good one.
We've seen a decline in lots of traditional institutions, including the family, people marrying later if they do marry, obviously in areas like religion, in some cases the labor market. And so what that means is there's more of a need for people to have social relationships, connections outside of those institutions. That's where friends are hugely important. But during the same period, we've seen a real decline in the number of people who say that they have a number of close friends. There are a number of factors that could be getting in the way of forming friendships, particularly in 21st century US. Number one is geographical mobility, people moving away from their homes, moving to big cities or career opportunities, which necessarily stretches their friendship network. Parents are spending quite a bit more time on parenting, on looking after their kids, which squeezes out the time that they might have had for friendships before. There's also a lot of emphasis on work and careers, what some scholars call workism, which is a sense that your identity is so wrapped up in your work that you don't have as much energy and time left over for friends.
Keep in mind, that's huge in Japan. That's a big thing they say in Japan is a cultural problem, that people are so into their work, they don't ever have enough time to have a personal relationship, and therefore literally it's 100% work, and then just quickly what they can do online, and that's it. That's their whole existence.
And lastly, I'd point to the breakdown of relationships. As marriages break up or couples separate, that can be really fracturing of friendship groups that have been formed as a couple. Once they break up, the friendship groups very often get shattered as well. There are a few downsides to being without friends. One is lack of access to opportunities. It turns out that many people get a lot of jobs and opportunities and chances to go and do things through their friends. So friends do act as a communications information channel. But there are some quite profound effects on health too, mental health and even physical health. It's not exactly clear what the causal relationships are, what's going on, but it is clear that having friends is protective of your health.
Let me put it this way, because I don't want to watch the whole video. It's very long. Well, it's not very long. It's 8 minutes. But in my life, as my life has changed as I got older, definitely my levels of friendship and how many friends I had and who was close friends have definitely changed. When I was younger, basically I was friends with all the kids in my neighborhood. And so they were my friends. I had one kid who was a next door neighbor who was my close friend who I hung out with more than anybody else. Then when I went to school, again, you have some kids you're friendly with, some kids you're more friendly with. I had like a best friend in school, elementary school, who we hung out and we did things. He was actually the kid who introduced me to video arcades, if you can believe it. Because I didn't even know that they existed until I had gone there to play the Ninja Turtles arcade game. That's when I was introduced to them for the very first time. Then as I started to grow up and I started to get into Street Fighter, competitive Street Fighter in arcades, I had my arcade friends, people who came to the arcade locally. We knew each other. We were friendly with each other. Then I started having my competitive Street Fighter friends who we wanted to play Street Fighter at a high level. So not only would we play in arcades, but then we started traveling together, practicing at each other's homes, going to arcades with each other every week and practicing there. Then I had my Street Fighter community friends. So not just the locals who I played with, but other people who I became more friendly with in the Street Fighter community as I became a higher level player and traveled and did that. Then when I kind of retired from professional Street Fighter, I had a few more different friend groups, some of which were coworkers and stuff like that, right? Then became friendly with the people who you guys know, like John Rambo, who we started traveling to play Street Fighter together, but then that kind of turned into a closer friendship, and then that became more of us being YouTube creators together as well as friends outside of that. And then basically it became I got so into YouTube that I kind of became a workaholic. And this is absolutely true. I've told you guys this. I was working so much that I kind of sacrificed the time that I would invest in friendships. And it was just, well, I'm working so much. If I'm going to spend time with a friend, let's record it, right? Stuff like that. Today, I have one close friend, my wife. That's really it. Like, outside of that, my parents I talk to every week. But outside of the life of my wife and talking to my parents, I don't really have anyone in person I'm friendly with besides maybe my neighbors, some of my neighbors here where I live. Every once in a while you see them, you say hello, you talk to them about stuff. But for the most part, that's about it. I work 6 days a week full time. I'm on the stream all the time with you guys. Most of my social interaction that is public facing is with you guys. That's it. That's why people say, oh, who do you hang out with? When do you do that? I don't have time for any of that. I'm on stream 6 days a week full time. When would I have time for any of that stuff you're describing? Never. You know what I mean? When was the last time I went to a bar with friends? When I had an office job in the mid-2000s, maybe? Really? That's stuff from the past. You know what I'm saying? And that's perfectly fine. If anything, if I had more time right now, free time from work, I'd spend it with my wife. I really would. We would go and do other things together that we don't get to do because we don't have enough time to. That's what I would want to do. But when you get to that, you know what I'm saying? When you get to that point in your life where you've got this stable job and everything going on there, when you're married, you have a family, that becomes kind of the focus. Like for me, honestly, I really wouldn't want to have another friend group because I'd be like, I wouldn't even have time to spend time with them with the way that my life is right now. You know what I mean? But I think everyone's different. I think when you're younger, you tend to have more friends. When you're younger, you have more free time, not as much going on. As you get older and life's real responsibilities start to kind of hit you, of all the things you absolutely have to be spending your time on to make ends meet, that's when you don't really have time for those friends and extracurriculars and all that stuff ever again. You're more focused on whatever you're doing to make money and whatever you're doing outside of that as a close personal knit friendship, relationship, marriage, significant other, family, whatever that may be. That's your focus. You know what I mean? So, anyway, that's how it's changed for me. I'm very grateful that when I was younger, I did have a lot of friends. I did a lot of fun stuff, traveled all over the country with them. Like I said, Street Fighter was a huge part of my life. I'll be forever grateful for the fact that Street Fighter was a part of my life in the way that it was, because that allowed me to travel and see things and meet people who I never would have known if it wasn't for competitive Street Fighter. But at the very same time, today, I literally couldn't be happier with my life unless I had more time to spend with my wife. If I had less time on stream and more time to spend with my wife, that would be ideal. Right now I don't have that, But that's what I would want to do. I wouldn't want to be going out and seeking other friends and things. You know what I mean? Like, I want to spend more time with the person who I married and want to spend the rest of my life with. That's my focus right now. So, okay. So, ladies and gents, one more part left in DSP versus the internet. I would say this has been an interesting, balanced week for sure. And I'm curious, obviously, what is going to be coming up in this final half an hour. But I want to say thanks to everyone who has chilled and supported so far. The finale, the final part coming up next. I'll see you then.